Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Well, it looks like we lost Holly. Hang
That's
on.
weird because I'm here.
Okay. But I don't see you. Your camera's not on.
It says it's on. That's weird. Hi, everybody. Sorry about this.
Sure.
I turned my camera back on. It's weird.
It's like your lens is covered or something.
I promise it is not.
Okay. Here's what you do. Exit out. Come back in.
Okay. Thank you. Keep everyone occupied and welcome them to Political Head Trauma.
I'll welcome them to Political Head Trauma.
Okay. Thanks, friend.
Okay, let's see. Now we're going to wait for Holly to come back. Let's see if she can figure out how to get back in. Well, for our listeners, Holly's doing this by herself now. She got her buddy Jared has gone back to school, silly man, and here she is. Let's see if we get her.
Hi, everybody.
You're here.
I'm here. That was really weird, but
you're running from your pad. It's not as robust as a laptop. So and I'll be here. We'll see how it hangs together. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Producer. So welcome everybody to Political Head Trauma, where if Head Trauma had a podcast, it sounds something like this. I say that with just tears in my eyes because I'm missing my partner and co-host Jared. But yeah, like Dwayne said, he is pursuing something at school, and he has so much going on, and he has left me with our show. And so I appreciate anyone who wants to tune in and join us tonight. I especially want to thank Mr. Producer and KMMU for being a part of it and always making it something that we've been able to do. Tonight's going to be really exciting. I don't know, for those of you out there who are not familiar entirely with what goes on in your county and county offices and what actually these folks do. Tonight, I've invited our county auditor, Allison McCoy, who was very excited to join us and talk to you guys. She is running unopposed, like Tracy Shaw last week, which personally, I see it as a testimony to the work that she's done, the integrity of her office, and it's not an easy office. It really isn't. The auditor is responsible for so much, and I want to get into that with her and find out what's going on in her campaign and how she sees it going forward. So please hang in there. She's going to join us in our the segment next, which will be at 6:30. So in the meantime, what I wanted to tell you, my friends and dear listeners, is that convention is Thursday night for the county. Here in Tooele County, our convention is happening. That is where our delegates go to vote and for the GOP to choose their nominee for the county. So it's going to be, it's been moved. So if you're a delegate or you are planning on attending convention this year, it is no longer at Clark Johnson. It has been moved to Excelsior Middle School. So please don't go to the wrong place. It's 5 o'clock, the middle school. Show up, and convention officially starts at 7. So they start it early so that we have a reception so that you can go there and meet candidates beforehand. And if you're interested, either you're a state delegate or a county delegate, or you're just a citizen who wants to meet these folks face-to-face, engage with them, I would invite you to attend it during that reception part especially. And we will have state candidates there. And it's a great pre-party warm-up for the state convention, which is on Saturday and at UVU. So those of you who are going to be attending state convention, I will be there. So if you see me, please say hello. That's where state delegates will go and vote for the state candidates, as well as any new stipulations or rules that are adding to the bylaws or to the party itself, the fundamentals, if you will. And they also have time before the convention starts to get to know candidates and talk to candidates that are already elected. Many attend convention. I know that those of you voting in the state election for District 29, the beloved district that I was running for, that vote is early in the morning, like 8 a.m. So I recommend you get there early, very early, and bring something. You need to have a clear bag. Security is high there, as you can understand. You must have a clear bag, and I'm not sure if you can bring your own water. I think so, but please look at the website and look at the rules from your county party email that you would have gotten from Stafford. That will draw out every rule about convention. It is at University or Utah Valley University. And so they have really, really made sure these rules are good. So safety first. But then you go and you will credential, and you must be credentialed to vote. So reach out to your precinct chair and let them know you're attending if you are a delegate, and just look for Tooele. We have our county in our own little area, and look for it. And for those of you who want to attend but want something to do there, I believe they're still looking for volunteers, and message me. I can get you in touch with the right people. A state convention is no small feat. You've got 4,000 people that need to be there. They vote in many different races. They then vote as a group, and I believe they're doing paper ballots this go around. So please expect a little bit of time and patience, but with paper ballots comes a need for a lot of volunteers. So for folks who hate machine balloting and complain about it, just know they're going paper, so we may need you to show up and volunteer in order to make that process successful.
Holly, I'm jumping in here for just a second. I want to make sure you can see the chat that I have down there. Can you see the blue chat on the bottom of the screen?
Oh, yes.
So watch for that. I can send you messages, and my message I just left is don't forget the alternate delegates, because a lot of that, when I was an alternate, I was a volunteer because I couldn't vote, but I was an alternate, and I went down and helped out with all the other stuff. So
it's a great point. And alternates, check in with your precinct chair, because
some people get sick. They get sick.
Yeah, if somebody can't show up, the alternates need to come in and do their thing. And I hope that if you were voted for an alternate, that you were able to meet candidates and go through the same process as delegates did, and that you can be there, but show up as a volunteer. And it's an awesome idea. I'm glad you mentioned that. The party so badly needs volunteers, folks, and we all want things. And I know there's a lot of infighting within our party regarding the fundamentals of things and the way we want things done. A lot of that can be put in place, but when you're an outsider and don't really understand the gist of putting together an event like a convention, for example, you really, when you think about, well, how do we make that happen? Well, it can be done. We've used paper ballots in the past, and it can be done. And there are a lot of things that need to be in place, but volunteers are the biggest. And so I'm always looking for volunteers, and I know the county party is. It's just been a natural thing that I've asked for over my tenure. And as a party member and somebody that does attend convention, I see that these volunteers do so much, and they are so appreciated. Our very own commissioner from Tooele County, actually, Sean Milne, he has been crucial in the past years putting conventions together. It is no easy feat. There are so many details they have to think about. And of course, security, both of your vote and of your safety, is a top priority there. And, you'll have a lot of guests there. You have booths there from candidates as well as electeds who already won and are still serving, they'll be there. And then you see your fellow Republicans and you can talk issues. It is the one place that you definitely want to talk politics, right? It's a good time. I love it. I've been to conventions that have lasted 8 hours. I've been to some that last well into the next morning. But as a volunteer, while I'm there, I will help shut down and close things down. So the one at the Salt Palace was really, really the governor race. That was a really long campaign or convention. And even if you brought snacks and you brought drinks, it was still really rough. So this one has been in the works for 6 months. They've been planning and strategizing, and I know they'll do a great job. The check-in for the one before this was phenomenal with the state party chair race. That was like a well-oiled machine. And I believe that was also at UVU. So we know the venue. We know that it'll work out. And again, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know politics is not everyone's favorite thing, but many of you are just interested in the process and interested in how it is we go about picking candidates. So I'm not sure if the public is open because of the security for this. So you might want to reach out to the state party if you are interested in attending but are not a delegate. Other than that, please also look at the rules. And for you delegates, make sure you're fully prepared. It's an early day. Aside from that, let's get into what's going on in the world. I see that Trump is giving.
Before you do that, I just wanted to let you know I'm checking out your Facebook. I don't see a live going on there.
That's what I'm worried about.
We may need to talk to Jared about it because it should be. I mean, my stuff's all up. That doesn't help you. but keep going. I just wanted to let you know people might be looking for you, and I'm not seeing it. But then, I'm not a huge fan of Facebook. We do not have a Facebook page. We have X, Rumble, and YouTube.
What I'm going to try to do is share the YouTube link on Facebook and invite people this way, like I did last week, and until I can talk to Jared and figure out if there's something else that we can do. And if you're on Facebook and you are seeing this, you can comment down below of the link, but it'll take you into YouTube, and I will see your comments in live on YouTube. So I think you have to have a YouTube account though for that. But
no, you can chat live on YouTube. They may need to subscribe, which they should do anyway.
That's what I mean. They have to have I think they have to be a member.
Like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, as they all say. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna disappear. You go right ahead. I think you have a guest coming pretty soon, right?
Yes, I have Allison joining me, and
I will let you know in the chat when she appears. You may see her, and then I'll let her in, and eventually you'll be able to just do all this by yourself. Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'm going to disappear. You carry on.
You know, this is something I need to say to Jared right now. That man always tells you on the show every week that he's so dumb and he's just not the smartest guy in the room. And yet he makes all of this happen for me week after week after week. And when it's thrown to me to do, I am just totally don't know what's going on. So without Mr. Producer and without Jared, I am trouble. I'm a hot mess, if you will. So here's hoping, folks, that we can get through. I am just sharing this link now.
Well, and you know, Jared is humble, but it was just the Beauty and the Beast, okay? So carry on. You're going to do just fine. You're going to do fine. We'll help you out.
Well, and I'm curious, for those of you watching right now, I would really love to hear from you regarding Donald Trump. I've seen some of his approval ratings drop, and where I'm seeing it drop, and I mean, I don't want to have to say that I am a very huge supporter of the president. I have done everything in my power to make sure he won the election last year. And I unapologetically, I supported him went all in with my time, with my money, with everything I had. And so when I sit back and I watch what's going on with Donald Trump right now, and I see that we're at war with Iran, and he drew a line in the sand, and that line now got passed, and now he's saying, well, I'm going to give mercy to that and give him more time. And I'm thinking, well, that looks terrible for coming from the right, because we don't ever want to draw a line in the sand and not hold it up. And that's not Trump's way. But the left is going off on him for not doing something and cowering to Iran when they went after him for even threatening a time frame. So he can't win, folks. He can't win. But when I see that he's losing some points in the demographic of white, male, blue collar worker, it really, really worries me, because that is his base. And we can't, we're all kind of in a mess here, and we are disagreeing, and types of disagreements like this will cost us midterms. We cannot afford to be a split party. We cannot afford it. And we've already seen what the left will do once they have majority. I mean, that's how we got Obamacare. Like it or love it, it definitely didn't save us money. It cost all of us more money overnight, whether you had insurance or not. And so that's what you get with a majority, House and Senate. And we are risking it, and we are getting very, very close to losing it. And I really am pissed that the Republicans up there at the House and Senate aren't working harder to make sure that they have a law that secures the border, that will absolutely take care of his executive orders, because the second a Democrat gets in there, we're back to where we were, folks. And I'm just not happy with my own party at the moment, because I feel like they're doing a whole lot of nothing. And when the SAVE Act can't even get passed, the SAVE Act, which is so popular among Democrats and Republicans, I don't know if there's another issue more people agree on. We're talking 80% plus on Democrats and Republicans, white, black, Hispanic, women. They're all approving of showing an ID to vote. And they can't even get that passed. And what is wrong? What is wrong up there? John Thune wasn't excited to even bring it to the Senate floor. And that bothers me terribly. Mr. Producer, you may want to join me here, because with the jobs report, that just came out, correct?
Yes. I mean, it was huge. 180,000 new jobs. They were expecting half that. And half of the jobs were in the manufacturing sector. I mean, he's doing a lot of right things, and nobody's perfect. And Trump, what I always say is, you have to remember how he started out. First, he was a Democrat, okay, and
Right.
He started out doing construction in places like Atlantic City and New Jersey, where he was working with the mafia. He's really rough around the edges because he had to work with the mafia.
It's true.
But I mean, and I will tell you, 1971, I marched against the Vietnam War. I have been anti-war ever since. I do not like the fact that we're over there bombing the heck out of Iran. I don't like it. War is horrible. It's evil. It's wrong. But he's doing something, and truly, it's something that he's been talking about for 20 years. It's not a big surprise. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Period. End of story. 20-year mantra. So, and his opponents, they complained when he started the war. They complained when he wanted to make peace. He wanted to, do this peace talks. So he can't win. He can't win.
No, and he won't. This is the thing. We're not surprised. We've seen this. What bothers me is that House and Senate aren't codifying the things that he's trying to work on. He has so many successes. And what he is he is a type of person that doesn't like to lose. And so if he makes a promise, he wants to keep it. Here he is checking off all these promises, and a lot of them are done in executive order, but just like last time, they can be removed with a stroke of a pen within 30 minutes of a new president.
As soon as
And
the new
we
president comes in,
Senate-
those executive orders are remanded. Yeah.
Yes, and the Senate needs to create laws that will codify these executive orders in the law so that we don't go through this roller coaster depending on who's in the White House. Allison has said she hasn't received the link, and I think that's my fault. Is there any way you could just text me the link and I'll send it to her through text? That way I don't have to mess with this
Here's
program
what
at
I'm
all.
gonna do. I can put it here in that chat, or I can text it to you. Okay?
If you text it to me, then I can do everything from my phone and not mess with what I have going on up here. Please forgive me, guys. This is all new to me, and
Well, we'll help you out. Don't worry. Don't worry. Hang on. Let me get the. Let's do this. I'll text this to you. Give me just a second. I'm gonna disappear for a second. I'll be right back.
So I want to hear from all of you guys. Like, what are your thoughts? Because my support for the president and the mission that he has and that he ran on is so important to me, and I support him. I want him to be successful. I am very touched that he's probably the first president in history to read from the Bible in the Oval Office. I don't also want to pretend like I see him anything other than the leader of our nation. I know some people accuse him of thinking he is the savior or whatever. And with the posts that he made on Easter, and then I see that Tucker Carlson and, Megyn Kelly, people that helped him get elected, absolutely helped him, are rejecting him now. And it's like a mid-war in between our own party. And this does nothing to help us when it comes to winning the midterms. And sadly, voters can be fickle. They can be fickle, and they can be one issue type voters. And that we find that in a lot of people. And that doesn't make them bad. It just means that there's a lot you have to cover as a candidate. And
okay, I've texted you, and you can now text that to your guest. And here's how I view all of this back and forth between Republicans. We are fiercely independent. We don't like anyone telling us what to do. And this is part of the problem. The Democrats, they all fall in line. They just go in lockstep and they do whatever they're told. Republicans, not so much. Conservatives, we're independent. Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me what to do.
Well, the number one registered in this country is unaffiliated.
Yes. Yes.
Independents, they're just unaffiliated. It's like we've got so many in our county. It's the majority of our county is unaffiliated.
There's a big contingent of unaffiliated in Utah. Huge contingent. Because they're not joiners. They don't want to be part of the party. They're independent. Okay.
And I can respect that. I mean, when you have a party
totally respect it.
that disrespects you once they get to office, I tell you what, I've seen Republicans mess it up, and enough times to know why people are tired.
And I'm like Jared. I'm really not a Republican. I'm really not a Democrat. I'm a libertarian. Okay. And I tell that to people, and they go, "Well, what does that mean?" I say, "That means leave me alone."
Well, stop growing the government, for one. The government shouldn't be the number one employer in the country, and it certainly shouldn't be as bloated as it is with programs that are, I mean, there's so many programs and so much of your tax dollars is taken, it'll never be enough. And when we bring in $5 trillion a year in taxes, and that's not a drop in the bucket to what our debt is, that's on every one of our shoulders and our prosperity. From us all the way down to great-great-grandchildren, this debt is theirs, and they've had no choice in it.
The founding fathers, their heads are exploding, okay, from all of this, because this was not their intention. The government was not supposed to do anything, okay? And they kind of fixed it so that's how Congress works. Congress never gets anything done, which that's fine except some of the things they do get done is spend our money. Okay. And they think of it as their money. Oh, it's the government's money. No, that's your money and my money and Jared's money. And it's not the government's money. And they just spend it. And it's such a big pot, it's hard to keep track of it all. So,
When you look at the text you sent me, it doesn't look like you sent me the whole link.
Hang on, let's see. I'm going to tap it. Let's see if it goes there. Yep. Crap.
We're just fun today.
Sorry, not seeing. Yeah, that's not quite right.
It's missing after the restream.io, it's missing that whole last.
Is it missing all the screwy letters? Hang on. Let me try again.
I'm so sorry, folks. If you tune in, please, thank you for your grace. Like I said, this is new to me. I do hope to get a studio set up and actually figure out this technology. Jared is so busy and taking a break. I don't know if it's a forever break. I hope it's not. I do adore him and love his, his point of view and his, I don't know, he's fun. He's fun, right? We can't argue against that. The man makes it a really good time. So I'm curious what people's thoughts are on Trump and heading into, you're doing these elections, especially your Congress seats. I'm curious if you've been able to get in front of congressional candidates, if you've had the opportunity. We are going towards the midterms, which will be in June for the primary. And for the Republican Party, that's big in our state. And so I hope to have all of the candidates that are going for those seats here on the show. We lost Celeste Malloy as in our district. She's no longer our congresswoman. And Mike Kennedy was former congressman of District 3, I think. He is going to be over District 2 now, so he is running for her seat. I know him personally for a lot of years since he ran against Mitt Romney, and he's a good guy. So I look forward to getting him on the show and talking to him.
Allison is here. I don't know how she got here, but we must have sent her something, right?
Well, maybe the first link I sent out, that might have worked.
And now also I emailed you the link so that you could get it there, but she's here. I'm gonna drop her in. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see what happens. Cross your fingers. And you don't need me. Hello, Allison. Mr. Producer here. I'm helping Holly out.
Hi, Allison. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh no, she might be frozen. Wait, I think I can hear her. Maybe that's you I can hear.
It looks like she's frozen. No, you can't hear me when I'm not on the screen. Let's try this. Send her the link that I emailed you. Okay, you can just go to your email and send it to her you can text it to her on the phone. But I'm gonna she's moving, but it's like she's got a bad connection. I can see her moving. Hello, Allison. We see you.
Okay, I don't see.
I sent it to your Hotmail. I'm going to.
This is the weirdest thing ever. I've never seen this before. Sorry, folks. We are just getting technical difficulties.
Technically challenged. It's okay. It is, actually, last week it went well because I just sent you the link and you logged in. But now you're kind of taking control of this thing. So we'll see what we can do. Hang on a second. Let me.
Okay, I've just reached out to her.
What I'm going to do is have her try the link again. Let's do this. I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm just here pushing buttons, Holly. That's my job. If you ever,
I'm pushing some myself.
if you ever watch Tim Pool, they got a guy. His name's Brown. That's what he does. Pushes but I'm here to push buttons.
Well,
Okay, she's back. Let's see. Hang on. Let's see.
Me?
I can hear you.
Good. Perfect.
There we
Much
go.
better. Much better.
Do you have a way to turn your phone if we turn
Yeah.
it to
Is that better?
Oh no, it doesn't work.
No,
No.
it doesn't work. It doesn't work. No.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just happy to have it.
This
Welcome,
works for me.
Allison.
I'm gonna disappear. You guys carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Producer.
Thank you, guys.
Allison, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for your patience.
It's the night before the convention, so I'm so excited for you. You ran unopposed this year, which I said earlier, I think that's a testimony to the work that your office has done and that you have done. And so tonight I want to talk about, your office and your plans going forward, and all of the things that you want to tell us that you're really proud of, because I know there's quite a list that comes out of your office. So if you wouldn't mind, I want to get into exactly what your office does, because I think a lot of people may not understand how much the auditor's office does and what they're responsible for.
Yeah.
So give us like a rundown of what, and I know it changes throughout the year based on the different needs and expectations, but give us a basic rundown of how a year starts for the auditor's office and what you do.
Yeah, you bet. There is a lot of stuff that happens in the auditor's office, and it definitely happens on a cycle, that's for sure. But the auditor's office is responsible for two big things within the county, and well, three really. We act as the CFO for the county. So one part of our year is spent on the budget, and the other part of our year is spent on property tax. And so right now we're in the thick of property tax. And really that happens throughout the year. But right now what we're working on is we're getting the tax roll ready. And so that starts in January. And we're part of the tax roll group. So that includes the recorder's office, the assessor's office, the treasurer's office, and our office. And what happens at the first part of the year is the recorder's office makes sure that all the records have been changed, name changes, things like that. The assessor's office puts a value on all the properties in the county. And then what we do is we kind of gather up all that data together, and we work with the entities in the county, like the municipalities, the special service districts, things like that. And we help everybody set a tax rate. And we kind of say we're the bearer of bad news in a lot of ways, and we can kind of get into that later. But we're the group that sends out your valuation notice in the August timeframe, or the July-August timeframe, that lets you know what all those municipalities are planning to do as far as tax increases and things like that. And our office is also the place, once you see what the assessor's office has put a value on your property, where you can come in and appeal that value if you don't think that that value is right. And in the fall timeframe, like I mentioned, then we start working on the budget. And in all that too, we are also doing the external audit for the county. So people a lot of times will say, our government needs to be audited. We're facilitating that too. And so there's a lot that goes on in our office. We're a pretty small team. There's three of us, well, four of us, but we get a lot done. So make a lot happen.
Well, my goodness, like I know after talking to Tina Cannon on this show, actually, from the state auditor's perspective, that you are essentially the watchdog for the taxpayer. Now, you do have the bad news of having to send us that tax bill. All of us hate that tax bill.
Yes.
And I know there's a formula you guys follow to decide what a value is on a home versus how much you're taxed on that home. And having been a victim of tax hikes back to back from my own municipality, I was grateful to know that I could go into the office and appeal that. And from a business perspective out here in the county, I know the business I worked for had the opportunity to go in and appeal. And it was because it was just I think it was just a mistake, an error. And that error could have cost them their business. It was so
Yes.
much.
You know, and
So
that's something that's it's so important to kind of talk through. The assessor's office wants to get the value of your property right. We all want to get the value of your property right. We're not here to make, to have you be overtaxed. Just to kind of quantify things, there are around just short of 40,000 parcels, between right around 36,000 parcels, depending on how you count the parcels. And the reason I say depending on how you count them is it depends on whether you count exempt parcels like federal lands, state lands, things like that or not. So if we say 36,000 parcels in the county, there are about 8 employees in the county assessor's office, okay? And they're required to put a value on that, on every property every year. And they don't get the benefit of going into your house every year to make sure that you have, that you haven't finished your basement, or you have finished your basement, or that you do have bedrooms or you don't have bedrooms. And so they do have people that go around and look at the outside of your house, and they have, drones and other technology that they can use to do the best that they can with the resources that they have. But thankfully, as the citizen have that ability during that time frame. That's why we send out those valuation notices, so that you can help us check our work, because we don't have resources. Now, you might say, well, get it right. You have a responsibility to get it right, but that costs money. And so you kind of have to weigh, if you want us to get it right, that requires more people, more technology, more money. Or you can help us by showing us, the inside of what your property looks like, and tell us, oh, you have an extra bathroom that I don't actually have. And the great people in the assessor's office are willing to listen to that, or to take that picture. And I would say there's several levels to that appeal process. So the first level is you get to work directly with the assessor's office, and they'll do what's called a stipulation agreement, where you say, look, you have 3 bathrooms and I only have 2. And they say, oh, shoot, you're right. Let us adjust that value. And so they do that stipulation agreement. The next level, if you can't agree at that level, you go to a hearing officer, and that's a neutral third-party hearing officer who has outside training. He's not associated with us at the county. We don't, we have to present our information. The assessor's office has to present where they came up with their value. The citizen presents where they came up with their value. And then that neutral hearing officer determines, what the value should be. And then if you still don't agree with that, you can go to the state level. If you don't agree at the state level, you actually can go to the district court level. So you have several opportunities to have your voice heard if you don't agree with what we came up with. So
with that, I know that there's a lot that goes into that, and you are working with Joy Peters at the assessor's office,
yes.
Which is great. And you basically have to watchdog every of your fellow electeds, and you going into budget. And I know that Tooele County has been awesome about, balancing their budget every year, but I know that takes a team of folks, and you are one on that team. And so for those of you that don't know, the Tooele County Council meets every first and third Tuesday of the month. And they usually at 7, sometimes they're earlier, but on the county clerk's website, you'll see when the meetings are and when the minutes are, and you can even tune in live to them from your home. And I know that's what I tend to do, but for those of us that want to know these boring details, it's very interesting to see how much, you have to be at all these meetings, right?
Yep, it's really important. I do try to attend as many as I can. We do, one thing that's really important to me is there's when we work on the budget with the departments, it's really important that if we have budget adjustments or changes that need to be made to the budget, we budget adjust as we go, which is what you're supposed to do by state law. We don't do one mid-year budget adjustment and one end of the year budget adjustment and have those all lumped into one thing, because the law says that you don't spend money that you don't have, or that the council or commission hasn't allotted to you. And so we do budget adjustments almost at every meeting. And you might say, well, are you just inflating the budget? Are you just, why are you budget adjusting that much? And actually, this is a credit to some of our departments, because what's happening is throughout the year, we're getting things like grants. And this, our departments may not have known about those grants during the budget process the previous year, but they've applied for them and they've got those grants, but they can't spend that money, even though we've got the grant, unless the council gives them officially through the budget process authority. And so it's appropriate to do a budget adjustment on a regular basis, not just midway through the year or at the end of the year. And so I do attend those meetings. We have great relationships with our departments. But another thing is that we do, our office does watch the departments really closely, and we have great collaboration. We send out financials on a monthly basis. We have them watch their lines, each individual line really closely. And each month it goes out with a little red thing that says review on it if they're over based on the amount of the year that we're at. And we have some really, really good conversations. And the nature of the auditor's office is not to always give good news. I had a former commissioner that used to call me the Undertaker. Because, the nature of the office is not to always have good things to say. And just because we don't have good things to say doesn't mean that somebody is a bad person or that they are inherently bad. But there are always improvements that you can make to any system. And one thing that I always express is that as technology gets better, we'll always find ways that we can improve and that we could have done things better in the past. I mean, if you think about paper and pencil, you will always find, like, a good example is, as we were handwriting things in ledgers years and years and years ago, you are always going to be, you're going to find mistakes, as you're handwriting ledgers, especially as you entered that information into computers, and computers could automate that information easier.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that those people who handwrote those ledgers before were bad people or stupid people. It
or
just means
intentionally trying to do
yes.
something sneaky.
Yep. It's that classic adage that when you know better, you do better.
Right.
And so things are changing so quickly that we're having to adapt quicker and change quicker. And so it's been about 3 years now. We changed our whole financial system, and it's been a lot. But we were able to change some processes and update some processes, and it's been a great thing at the county.
So how does this whole AI world work? Does that is that part of your office? Do you guys use AI?
Yeah, definitely. So we're still having to be careful because AI is still not super great with complex governmental accounting. But we still, the day that it does get great with governmental accounting, it's going to be awesome. But I use AI all day long for anything that we can do. We use it to help to find problems or to work through solutions. Like, for example, if we run into a tough bank reconciliation situation, we'll run it through just to see if it can pick up a pattern that we're not seeing. We use it as with our ERP system, so our resource management system, our financial system, as a secondary. When we can't get customer support from them, we've set up a GPT that has all of their their user manuals and stuff like that. So we'll ask questions specific to the situation that we're in. So we're using it every day. And it's been fantastic as far as that goes. It's given us different ways to think about things in those situations, different tools to try um, that are really specific. Because in every situation, you can call up your colleagues in a different county, but they may have the system set up just a little bit different or do things just a little bit differently. And so AI is going to be a huge help. It has been a huge help for us, and it's going to be a huge help going forward.
I imagine it helps kind of oversee like anything that could be humanly missed, of course.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not an intentional thing. It's human error. We're all bound to make one.
Yeah.
But it is, your office is under the biggest microscope, in my opinion, to the voter, because you are my last hope of protecting my rights, my money, my tax dollars, things like that, because I know you're the one that's supposed to be checking on every other elected official. And I don't mean that like you're watching officials like crazy, but you are the balance, and we all need checks and balances. And so I think that people maybe don't realize the importance of the auditor's office. I know years ago when it was the clerk auditor in the same place, and I thought that was insane. You've got the fox in the hen house at that point. And then when it was being made into two separate offices, it just made so much sense to me.
Yeah.
But I'm also highly engaged in politics. And so when I talk to the average person, a lot of people don't realize the extent of the budgets. Each department has budget, and each department is responsible to stay within that budget. And with you and with the county council, they set the budget for the year. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the work that you do. And I know that you can be someone's worst nightmare and also someone's best friend, because I've also seen where you've actually opened up to the public when there are issues and appeals needed regarding taxes, but also, when there's foreclosures that have happened, you really help get that word out so that people can maybe purchase a home for the first time in foreclosures.
Yeah. You bring up a really good point. When I very first got into office, this office was a combined office, and it was being split back apart. And that's actually a common, having the clerk's office and the combined or the auditor's office is actually a common thing throughout the state. And it's actually having those offices split apart is something I'm very passionate about because of the importance of having, because of the importance of what this office does, and the clerk's office has such an important function in elections, and there's so much work that goes into keeping our elections secure and safe. But there's so much importance to making sure that county finances are independent and that there's an independent voice for those, an independent watchdog for that.
Yeah.
Making sure that there's somebody who can speak up, and making sure that there's somebody who can say, let's take a second look at this, or let's make sure that this process is working the way that we intended it to, or the way that that's outlined in our policies or our procedures. And ultimately, there's the auditor's office sits in the executive branch, and the council sits in the legislative branch. And so we are a check and a balance to each other. And I think that is extremely important in the county level government. And
I agree more.
Yeah, I'm extremely passionate about having those two offices separated. And every once in a while up at the legislature, it cycles where, whether those offices should be separated or combined, or whether you should have combination of offices or not. But in some of the smaller counties, there may not be the resources within the counties, but at our level, I definitely am really passionate about keeping the offices separated. And then
We've tried both, right? We've tried
Yes.
both, and
Yep.
this was their decision, and I feel like it was the right one.
I would agree with that. I would agree 100%. And you mentioned the tax sale, and the tax sale is something our office does too, and that's another process that we're in the middle of right now. Um, the selling people's property tax sales is not something that we ever want to do.
Right.
It's and the way that works is so people who are 4 years behind on their property taxes, on the 5th year that they're delinquent, that's the year that they're subject to property tax sale. What our office does is we work really hard to do everything that we can to help them get those property taxes paid. We notify them. There's an ad that runs in the paper. Ultimately, if they're unable to pay, then those properties do go to sell. But there are options. There's a deferral that the treasurer's office can work out with those who have homes that are on the sale list. If they can't pay, that the treasurer will work out with them. But before they even get to that point, our office does have the abatement program, the property tax abatement program for those who are disabled veterans that are 10% and above, or those who are 66 and older. And this year it's based on income. This year the income is it's about 44,000, and that's your adjusted gross income. So if you make less than 44,000 and you're 66 and above, stop in at our office, and that program is definitely helpful for those who are lower income, and it helps them stay in their homes. So very, very valuable.
Does it matter how much the home is worth? It
So
just matters what your income is?
that's a really good point. So right now, for this year, it does not matter what the value of your home is. There was a push in the legislature this year to maybe figure out a different way to manage that program. There are some legislators who don't love homes that have equity in them getting an abatement, but that's a kind of a rabbit hole that we can go down if you want. But
Well, I hate it. I hate it because I think if you have lived in a home and you have, property that has some equity in it and you can barely afford to keep your bills paid, or you're on a fixed income, that's a forced sale of your house at gunpoint over
Yep.
preserving your home. That to me, that
Yep.
sucks. But I also
Yep.
don't love property taxes after a certain time. I think if you've paid them, when you purchase the home and, pay them anytime you purchase the home. I just hate this forever till you die where you never own the property. So if someone were to ask me, I would say absolutely not. If they're making under 40 grand a year, they're paying to keep their house on, their lights on, and to put food and medicine in their bellies. This can't be. Just because they've got equity, all that means is they'd have to sell the home. The home is not worth anything if it's not for sale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There was the bill was sponsored by Dan McKay this year. And it literally went to the very last night of the session. And it was a pretty hotly contested bill. It's come up twice, last year and this year. It's a pretty hotly contested subject.
Yeah.
And definitely we see these, elderly citizens in our office, and these are definitely people who can use the help. And it's a really hard program to take a swipe at when there's other programs in place that do similar things. And so I'm not saying that there's not improvements that can be made to that can't be made to the program.
Sure.
But property tax in general, the calculation all the way around is an extremely difficult topic in general. And like I said, it's a whole rabbit hole that we could go down to begin with.
Yeah.
And
true.
I think that, like I said, this is a tough program to take a swipe at, and until we can figure out probably some larger level issues, I'm not sure that this was maybe the program to take a swipe at. So
That's fair. I mean, especially when you got people who've probably paid their homes off, and that's probably why there's so much equity in it. They did everything right. They're probably living on Social Security, which also gets taxed, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But again, back to legislature, I know that there's, just like the clerk's office, you auditors 29 auditors throughout the state. How involved are you guys on the legislative level when it comes to them making legislature or legislative, bills that regard your office? How
Yeah.
involved are you with that?
So, much like the auditors, or I'm sorry, the clerks, we meet every week also. We're watching every week. Bless the clerks' hearts. We definitely don't take the attacks that they take. But we do have, stuff that comes after us as well. But we do meet, we do, caucus and make sure that we're watching, that we're, meeting with our legislatures. Our biggest things are typically related to property tax that we're watching. Budget stuff is not quite as high up on the list. I would say that property tax issues are usually where we get involved, or where we're kind of the watchdogs are watching. I jokingly usually say that nobody likes accounting stuff anyway, so nobody usually touches the accounting stuff because it's not as fun.
Yeah, so fair.
It's pretty boring.
I can't even think
Unless
of
you're an
anything more.
accountant.
Yeah. Well, like Tracy, you probably have you'd never see a spreadsheet you don't like.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
for me, my
Yeah.
eyes glaze over. I can't even
Yes.
run a show for crying out loud without
Yeah. Yeah, I put everything in a spreadsheet.
I'm like, I can put that in Excel. Hold on.
Yeah. We have spreadsheets to track the bills. Yeah.
Well, so with the office, I mean, first of all, integrity. Your office has to have integrity.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, I mean, you're requesting the voters give you a third term. So you've given 2 terms already. You are the first person elected since they split the office. And our county has been very well run, both under the old system of county commissioner versus the new system of county council. Both seem to make sure that we have a balanced budget. And I mean, I've got involved because I was so amazed at how a 3-person commissioners could balance a budget it just didn't look possible. And I understand it takes weeks, and it takes all of the offices coming together and the electeds coming together. And so I can appreciate what the expectation the public has of you, and the character that you must have, and the integrity your office must uphold. What is that like for you?
You know, it is extremely important for me to make sure that I'm somebody that the public can trust. I don't take this position lightly. I don't take the fact that the public's allowed me to serve in this position lightly. I don't take the fact that I get to work with some of the greatest people around in the county lightly. But I also understand that I'm here to protect the public. I'm here to protect their dollars. We talk about in our office a lot that these are real dollars. They're big dollars. We run a budget roughly, 130 to 140 million dollars, and you hear that and some, eyes glaze over. It's a big number, but it's real money. It's people go to work every day so that we can spend that money.
Right.
And so we watch when my office approves an invoice, we watch and make sure that vendors aren't charging us tax. And sometimes we have hard conversations, and it's uncomfortable. And but one thing that I've tried really hard to remember is that and I'm not perfect, but you do the right thing even when it's hard to do the right thing. And I feel like I've learned a lot over the last 8 years, and I'm grateful for what I've been able to learn. But I really am passionate about this work. I love the people that I serve. I love the work that I do. and I think that this is important work. I think that it's important to have somebody that's independently elected and an independent voice, to be able to say the hard things and have those hard discussions. And again, it's not that anybody's. I'll never believe that anybody's intentionally out to do anything wrong. But we have to have those hard discussions, because real people's money is at stake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real people like you and I mean, I know your family is about public service. Your husband's a public servant as well.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just he's not elected, but he's what everybody loves is a fireman, right?
Yeah.
Nobody hates a fireman.
Yeah.
They get all kinds of feelings about the police, but
Yeah.
nobody hates a fireman. And he's no stranger to that. He's one of the neatest guys. And so you guys are a really great family. I know you've given up a lot to be in this office, and just to see it do well, I know it is personal to you, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the work you've done. And I've watched you have difficult conversations. I've also watched you stand up for the voters and for their dollars. So I'm just really excited about it. So do you see going forward, do you see that something needs to change? I know with AI coming in and it's growing by the day, but you don't just turn over your office to an AI. You need eyes. You need that customer engagement, that customer service. What do you see in the future for the office?
Yeah. No, I think that this is a great question. My office, we always joke that I don't think that we've had one normal year in 8 years, and maybe that's normal. But when we very first came in, we had to start fresh, and then we had COVID, and then we changed over the finance system, and we changed form of government. And so we haven't had like a really normal year. And so there are still a lot of things that we want to do. And so that's one reason I'm so grateful that the public's giving me the opportunity to continue to serve, because there are still things that need to be done in the auditor's office. Some things are like little things. For example, we're getting ready to move the county over to ACH payments. And for some businesses, you may be like, well, why didn't that happen years ago or whatever? And it's for all the reasons that I mentioned. When you're trying to bring a governmental entity through a pandemic, you're doing the best you can. When you're bringing a governmental entity through a whole change in financial system, government moves slow, and then government moves slow. And so, there are, and things like that will make a huge financial difference, but they'll make a difference to our vendors. They'll make a difference in processes to our departments. And so I get really excited about those kinds of things, because there's still those are the things that I can bring from my experience in the private sector that I know will make a difference, that are still going to have big, huge impacts, barring another pandemic or something like that.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the pandemic, because it had to have been difficult going into it. I get that, and adapting to that. But I'm curious what it's like to get out of it, because financially, we're dealing with budgets that were pre-pandemic, or we're not even back to pre-pandemic in a lot of different departments in the government. So they're dealing with all this extra money and money they count on. Then the pandemic hits, or the pandemic is wrapped up. They have to go back to pre-levels from a voter's perspective, get back to what we were. What has that been like? Because that's got to take a lot of adjustment.
Yeah. One thing that I'm really proud about at Tooele County is, and this is, speaking of being called the Undertaker, from the very, very, very beginning of the pandemic, I was adamant that we would not, basically that we would not count on this money. We would not count on any money from the government. And so we strategically kept our spending that came from the government very clean and very easily to track, and didn't the best way I can describe it is that it's very easy to see what our money went towards. So um, we still, I mean, I've got a report due at the end of this month. We still have to report every quarter on what our money went to, even though we spent it out a long time ago. But basically, we kept our funding extremely simple, and nothing was the best way I can say it is like we didn't hire people knowing that we were going to have to keep them on. We did things like one-time projects or one-time equipment or things like that. We didn't do things that were going to have ongoing costs. And so I feel really fortunate that way, that again, even though sometimes they were hard conversations to have or hard ideologies to work through, that in the end, overall we had the support.
You stayed conservative,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is something that I appreciate. And it's why I'm so glad that people like the county clerk, people like the sheriff have to run under a banner, a political banner, because I need to know, just like you're running under a banner. It's required by law that you run under a banner of policy. But I know that once I get to know you and I've vetted you just based on the platform you put yourself next to and that you believe in, that I'm hopeful you're going to use my tax dollars in a way that you would want your own to be used. Even if they were to put that COVID money in a rainy day fund, I don't know if that was legal to do or not on the stipulation, but at least the people that started new programs, that started new jobs and all of those things in government based on that money, and then had to raise taxes in order to accommodate it when that money went away. To me, that wasn't conservative. That was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't spend that money on your bills at home that way.
Right.
The trick is to pay off the debt you have, or to purchase a vehicle now that can work for the next 10 years versus, I don't know, financing 3.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad. I'm curious about that, because I've not had the chance to ask anyone that, especially in government, who deals with tax dollars the way you do.
Yep. And you to your point, especially the other offices, that's it really was a mindset that we were able to work through with all the other departments too. There wasn't really, and this wasn't the case throughout the state. I had counterparts who were anxious because their councils or their commissions were like, we want to spend it on there. This is literally a news story, so this isn't top secret, but there was a county who bought a sledding hill with their money, and their county auditor was flabbergasted, and that wasn't something that they had control over. The auditor, you can express your concern, but in the end, it was their decision. And so I am grateful that in the end, in our county, our departments were able to get behind that mindset of, this is one-time money, so one-time money goes to one-time things. So
yeah, that's good to know. So how often do you communicate with Tina Cannon and the state auditor's office? Is that something you guys meet often, or?
So we have a representative in Tina's office. His name is Seth Oveson, and Seth is our counterpart that we work with, and Seth is fantastic. I have a great relationship with Seth. I would say I probably am in contact with him every other month, just questions, whatever, and he's great to work with. On the local level, the auditors, I would say, have historically had a bumpy relationship with the state auditor's office, not more from a perspective of worried about calling in, because you don't, you're worried about if they're going to come in and look at you. And my perspective has always been, and I jokingly preface this every time I call Seth. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be asking this question, but I've got to ask the question, and I'm sorry if you're going to have to come look, but I got to ask,
Help me be
Yes.
compliant.
Yeah. And they've been great. And I've had a couple of conversations with Tina, and she's been a great help and a great mentor, and I've appreciated her advice. And so the way that I see the state auditor's office is they've been, they're in the business much like we are of making sure that they've got to have those tough conversations as well. People naturally don't like it when the auditors walk in the room, but a better way to look at it is that we're there for improvement, not to
Destroy.
destroy. Yeah, exactly. And we want to see my office. We want to see other offices be successful as well. We're all part of the same organization. I want to see success. I want to see the success of Tooele County also. I'm not looking to tear Tooele County down. I am Tooele County also. And so, we don't get better if we don't know where we're not doing well. And so, and
No,
I think
I love
that's
that.
their same position. So,
And I love Tina Cannon, and I think she's fierce and bold, and I know that she gets a lot of pushback, and I expect it. I
Yeah.
think if you're doing your job right, you are going to get pushed back, but it helps to kind of smoke out where in the government needs more improvement. I always look at who's attacking, and I say attacking, but for Tina, for example, up at the state, she started getting all this heat because she was asking questions regarding a certain senator or whatever. And her job that I hired her to do as a voter is to go look into these things. Now, where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire, but I think it should be you should have attention to when you see a little smoke or the auditors getting that kind of attention. That absolutely, I want you looking into it because
Well,
it is your job, right?
Yep. And ultimately, so my job as the auditor and her job as the auditor is to bring these things forward. And then ultimately, it is the public and the council's, in my case, it's the public and the council's job to decide how important it is to them at that point once it's brought forward. I don't have the authority to do anything with the information that I bring forward, but the public and the council then decide what they do with that information once it's brought forward. And so I think that that's a really important, that's really important for the public to understand that,
Yeah.
you have put me and the state auditor as well, you've put me here to be your watchdog, and I found this information. Hopefully it's important to you. And if it's not important to you, then that's okay too. But I'm doing and she's doing what you've what you've been put there to do. And so you have to decide the level of importance.
So for somebody in the community or the citizen, how do they know what it is you're putting out there? Do you have it on a website, on a page? Like, how do you get information out to the public?
So at the county level, audits are a little bit different. Audits have to be done. Some audits have to be done at the request of the council. So the county council has to say, county auditor, go and do an audit. I do have the ability to do some audits on my own. That instance, they're a little less formal. Like, so for example, a few months ago, we were working on an audit where we were going through the jail commissary account. In those instances, what we're looking for is we're looking to make sure that the sheriff's processes match our processes on our side. Meaning, like, is he reconciling it in his department, and are we reconciling in our department? In that instance, it may not necessarily be like a report that's written up or anything like that. And so there may not be something official. But if there is something official, then we would put it on our website. But ours may not be, I guess what I'm getting at is ours may not be as official as Tina's one that's, I think it's actually out on the news. I saw it today with the nursing homes. But our annual audits that are done by our external audits are all on our website. So
is that the Tooele County
auditors page.
government? So it's
Yep.
Tooele County auditor's page. And I'm
Yep.
curious, a lot of what you're doing, you meet with the council a couple times a month, or that's where you would bring up any potential issues. So for people who want to go, I know you have brought things to the council before that you've recognized, and the timing was crucial. I mean, I don't know that I would have known about it had I not been in the meeting. So I implore all of you to go to your local meetings, especially your county meetings, because that's where your tax dollars for your property tax and the expenditures there, the watchdogs are there, your council is there, all elected officials. So they're all employees of yours. And I think it's a great opportunity to learn what exactly your report says and what each office actually addresses when they get up there. I know the sheriff is in all those. I've seen you all the time. I've seen our recorder, Jerry Houghton out there. There's just so much that goes into these meetings, and people like me tend to just assume government's working fine and we kind of let them be. But if you really want to know what's going on, it's good to be there and to watch the meeting. So can you tell me, what does it take? Like, what is all when someone works in your office? Do they have to have an accounting degree? Are they, what kind of education is needed? Is it required to run for the seat? Like, what is all that involved?
Well, this is a funny question. Well, so in my office, I have 3 other employees. 2 of them do have accounting degrees. One is in school with her going to get her MPA. My other employee, she does our accounts payable, and she's a part-time employee. I always joke that I'm not sure what my path here is. I have an MBA, I have an accounting degree, psychology degree, and a funeral directing degree. So whatever that takes.
To bring that up. Your funeral directive degree. You were actually noticed as one of the women of the year over at a tech school when I went to that meeting, and you were one of the women they highlighted. And it just blew my mind how many degrees you have, but the array of like how weird all of them are. And when they said funeral director, I was like, that is so incredible. Tell me about that.
So my brother owns a funeral home here in Tooele, and that was his dream all growing up, was to be a funeral director. And he had the opportunity to buy the funeral home that he worked for. And he actually, at the time that he bought it, had the opportunity to bring water cremation to Utah. And he worked to get the legislation changed so that he could bring water cremation, because it wasn't legal in Utah. And so at the time we thought we were going to need an extra license at the time. And so in a weird roundabout way, I actually had the prerequisites to mortuary school. And so I say this, and it's going to sound weird, but I hurried and went to school really quick and got my funeral directing degree. And I jokingly say that I can neither confirm nor deny that I've embalmed for the mob, because I cannot confirm or deny, because I had to go back to Brooklyn for my school, and you had to go to this funeral home in Brooklyn to embalm. And it was on a corner, and I'm not so sure that it wasn't a mob funeral home, just based on what was there. So I can neither confirm nor deny.
That is so funny. I mean, it's not funny as someone.
No, well, no, yeah.
How amazing that. And you are a mortician.
I am. Yeah.
And you're great with numbers. Like, I don't know. I've got so much respect for people who work in the funeral industry. It's not an easy industry to work in. You have to have, number one, integrity, and you have to have reverence, and of course respect and empathy, because it is such a tough time. The worst times that I've ever been engaged with people in that genre, they've been very, very strong supporters, and they don't even know me. but they are relied upon to literally get you through the hardest time in your life. So I just thought, wow, so here we got somebody who's accounting, but she's also a mortician, and she's in our county. I was amazed by that. And I don't know how often you share that, but have you ever used that here? Because I mean, you were elected pretty soon after,
Yeah,
right?
so I worked with my brother for the first 2 years that I was in office. And so yeah, and actually like I said, I never grew up wanting to be a funeral director. I actually was terrified the whole entire time that he worked there. I never even went anywhere near it because I was afraid of it. And I actually fell in love with it. It's incredible. I love it. It's a beautiful time to be able to be in somebody's life, and it's something that I really enjoyed. So
That's so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Things you'd never think you'd hear in an interview with an auditor.
yeah,
I was shocked about that. I think it's great. I mean, you're right. What a time to be involved with a stranger. It's a gift you can give that person that has passed, or that family who has lost them. It's one gift you can give them that they don't even realize it maybe in the moment, but when you look back on you standing so strong for a family that is broken, essentially, I just think that is a very special job. And it's for people who can do it. It demands a lot of integrity. So
yeah,
I keep using that word, but I think when I think of Tina and the office and what she really put through when she was running for this seat, is that office has to maintain integrity.
yeah,
People have to be able to trust that office
yeah,
above all others,
yeah,
because at the end of the day, you are watching out. You're watching out for me, and you're watching out for things I don't even know about, right? I don't know the line by line. I don't know what this legislation says, or what effect it's going to have. My care is, how am I going to afford groceries? You know, how are we going to get through this year budget wise? And so when someone like you is in that office, and it's not an office you get to make too many friends, even your
yeah,
best friends that you serve with, you probably,
yep,
like the sheriff, for example, you are going to be communicating with him and making sure his budget is lining with the way you have it. And in the clerk's office, people you really care about and work with.
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. And that's one thing that I stress to my staff is, we're under a microscope. It's important for us to be the examples. And at the end of the day, that's all we have is making sure that we're doing the right thing for the right reasons. So
I couldn't agree more. Is there anything I missed that we didn't talk about? I wonder what it's like being a woman in, and not just government, because I know there are a lot of women in government, right? I've seen
well,
a lot.
what I really appreciate this question because I am a woman in government because of a woman in government. And so I actually appreciate the opportunity to talk about this because I grew up across the street from a lady named Beverly White. And Beverly was the Democrat House of Representatives representative for Tooele for a really long time in the 70s and the 80s. And I always joke that I was a Democrat before I knew I was a Republican because I grew up thinking I was a Democrat because of her.
Yeah.
And she was amazing. She was, I mean, if you get to look back, she was everything that you would hope that your daughter gets to grow up around. And between her and my grandma, I got, I grew up, I grew up just learning about politics. And I also grew up at the county courthouse building and grew up around all the politicians. And I, I can remember thinking when I was younger, I don't know why anybody doesn't want to be the mayor of a city.
Oh,
And I don't know anybody else that thinks that way. And so I've always been, I've ran for an office. I always joke every year since I was in fourth grade. And I never made it until my junior year of high school. And then I made it my junior and senior year. But statistically, I have a higher chance of being abducted by an alien than I do of winning an election. I haven't run the odds since these last 2 elections. But being in politics for women is so important, because our voices need to be heard. And there's a whole bunch of research on this, and I'm just going to give a plug to Susan Madsen's group. If you haven't heard about her, if you don't know about her, people don't know about her, but there's a ton of research on all the ways that communities are better when there's women in politics, and policies are better when women are in politics. And that's not to diminish the role of men or anything like that. It just means that we all matter, and that we all have a role to play, and that we all have something to offer. And so don't be afraid, if you're a woman considering running for politics. Get out there and make sure that your voice is heard, because people need to hear your ideas and need to hear what you have to offer, because there's a lot of ideas that don't get heard, and you have good ideas. So make sure that your voice gets heard.
I love that. I didn't even think about that. I guess as someone who's been in politics, and I've never felt, well, I'll be honest. Yes, I have. I started in the party, and the ideas that I had felt more common sense and less, more about just the fundamentals, being more about the party, more about the delegates, more about the candidates, and less about, the pomp of the party, or I definitely wanted popularity in the party, but I wanted it to be more, let's open this party to, let's make a big tent, let's get more people in here. I don't recall ever, that's not true. I have been talked down to on a couple of occasions because I'm a woman. I guess if you're a woman in politics, the one thing you have to have is thick skin. And I think that sucks, because I don't find myself saying that to men. Men maybe naturally have it. Women have to have it more.
Yeah. And
I've never been a victim. I will never say I'm a victim of anything. I just have to say that there is a difference. And, I hope nobody lets that stop them.
Yeah.
Because if you want it bad enough, you're going to do the work. And that's something you've done. You've done the work, and you actually put your life on a path that could let you do this job right now in this moment. Not knowing maybe at the time when you were down that path. I think you were going down the path so that you could help run businesses, and you had your own business.
Yep.
And but it brought you here. And I think a lot of it when you were running, I still remember when you were running and you were talking about the common sense that's needed for an office like this. I know that your character was highly important to you, and it still is, always is. And that's something that I, as a voter, we had 2 good candidates in the race when your race started. And integrity was highest among them for me. And so I know it was a tough race for a lot of people, because it was good candidates. But transparency, you give transparency to a fault, right? I think that's something I love about you, is that you are transparent. And when asked a question, you answer it. And whether I like the answer or not. And I know that you have to tell people, even your dearest friends, listen, this is the set on the tax. If you have a problem, appeal it, but this is the progress. I know this because Joy and I have sat down regarding this very issue on my own home. And I don't love her any less. I appreciate that transparency, but I also appreciate that as a woman, that's a mother, as a wife, as a daughter and a granddaughter, a friend, we put ourselves in these positions to reflect those people. I know that was your intent when you started. It's my intent, and what I do, it's to reflect what my family is going through and how I see things could get better, right? We all do that. Our intent is to make a better community that's already amazing.
Yep.
So I'm grateful. And you were honored as one of the women in our county. And there was a lot of amazing women. I'm glad that you give that message, is to not quit and to keep going. I hate that we have to have a thick skin in this. I hate that we sometimes get talked down to as women in political roles. It happens, and I won't lie and say it doesn't. I just figure that goes with the thick skin, and I just keep going because what I'm doing is very important, and what you're doing is very important.
Yep.
Hey,
Okay.
Jordan. Jordan has just tuned in. He says, "Hey, Holly, great to see you. Yes, we need an open and transparent government and elected officials to also be transparent." Amen, brother. That's so true.
Yep.
Well, Allison, I feel like I know we're missing something. I'm going to get off the air with you, and I'm going to say, dang it, I should have asked her this. So, for people who want to, what is your webpage? Is it
So it's best to just go to the Tooele County website. So just tooeleco.gov, and then up at the top, there's the government link. And if you just click on the auditor page, on the left-hand side, we've got all the information for appealing your property value when the notice comes out in July, the abatement information, and then you can click on the auditor, the annual audits. The new one should be out in June. The tax sale information's there. That tax sale will be May 7th. So yeah, lots of good information on there. So.
And if you're a business, it's highly important, if you have questions, to get in front of these folks. These guys are not trying to rob you blind. I know it feels like government's always trying to rob you blind, but they are trying to stick with the actual, the plan that's in place and all of the dynamics that go into deciding what you owe and deciding, your property values or your business value, things like that. That's all gone through a different, I'm trying to think of the word, a process. But if you have a question, by all means, it's worth it to you. I know our company went through it, and it just ended up being a typo, and it would have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, question, but give a call. And I love that you are easy to talk to. You're easy to reach, and you're also an amazing person to know. I feel grateful for you.
Thank you.
And we need to get to those meetings, right?
Yes.
We need the public to show up.
Yes, please come. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And you will be at convention tomorrow night, correct?
I will. Yep, I'll be there. Yep.
So
Say
it's
hello.
going to be at Excelsior Middle School. The location had changed, and I believe at 5 p.m. people can get out.
Yeah, they said credentialing starts at 5, and then the voting starts at 7.
Yeah, so if you're there, if any of you that wanted to go and meet Allison face to face, if you haven't met her before, or you have questions for her, again, she's running on opposed this year, but her, Tracy Shaw, they both are still engaged. So
Absolutely.
they want to talk to you, and I encourage you folks to go out and meet her because she's worth the time. Definitely. Oh, got your website up there.
Perfect.
Fantastic. What a great photo. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun. I'd like to see you more. So if you ever have something you want to talk about, please think of me.
Awesome. Will do.
I mean it.
You're awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Allison. You have a great evening.
Okay, you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. So we're gonna say goodbye to Allison, and then I'm just going to continue on as we wrap up the show. Mr. Producer, are you still with me? Oh, is Allison still with me?
Hang on. Here we go. Bye,
Okay.
Allison.
She's a lot of fun.
You're gonna have to.
A lot of fun.
You're gonna have to learn how to do all this stuff, Holly.
I know. But in the meantime, I'm extremely grateful for you doing it and for showing the website. I appreciate that. I got to figure out how to do Facebook because we mostly get our comments on Facebook, and I feel like
Well, I went to Facebook and I did not see your stuff happening there. And I don't use Facebook. We're on Rumble X and YouTube and our website. But I'm sure that Jared had set that up at one point because I can see that there are videos there. Okay.
Yeah, Jared did our last video there with the sheriff videos. So I'm sure it's something I need to add. It might be something I need to do on a PC and not an iPad. I'm not sure. But either way, we got through the show tonight. I want to hear from you guys. So if you have listened to the show and you want to chime in, I'm still curious of what our fellow voters feel about what's going on and where they see because I'm looking into the next few months. I'm not looking into the future. I'm looking into the next few months into November, and what is going to affect all of us is what happens in that voting time. And it will have real, true effects on our lives. I feel like if the Democrats get in charge, we are going to have, again, we're going to go through impeachment. We're going to go through just stalling at every second. I heard the potential of one of the Supreme Court justices retiring, but then I also hear that could be a rumor. Democrats are pissed about that because they don't want Trump to choose yet another.
Can you see that on the side of the screen?
It just went small for me. I don't know why. Let me see. Okay.
That's your chat, and I think that's from. Looks like it's from YouTube. But
Yeah,
we'll figure this out, okay? Because Jared had it set up, and we can get your chat from Facebook. I mean, Gowd does his with X, and so we'll play around with this stuff and get some clues and get you working. Okay.
Yes, thank you. And Jordan, yes, the convention is at UVU. I don't know if they're opening it up to the public because they are having high security at UVU for this. And so I think it's a ticket only or an RSVP only. But I believe that if you go to the utahgop.com, they should give you information about that. Or if you reach out to someone there, you can ask if you can attend. But Jordan, they're always looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in being a volunteer and that's something you want to do on Saturday, starting at the Crack. I know a lot of volunteers are going tomorrow night because it is a lot they're setting up. And so if you'd like to be a volunteer, you can let me know and I can put you in touch with somebody, or you can contact the state party at Utah GOP also.
Yeah, they are looking for volunteers. If you're a GOP member and you're not a delegate and you want to go, they'll credential you.
Yeah. And you get to see how the sausage.
You can't vote. You won't be able to vote, but you can be a volunteer. They need all the help they can get.
Right. So I want to end this note on a positive note. I'm excited that we live in an America where Kamala Harris isn't president. For one. It's the little thing. I am also praying for our president. I'm praying for the administration and for the first responders and the military that is out there right now, and I pray for the people of Iran. I just think that we as Americans are so spoiled. We are such a spoiled people that I don't think we fathom what life really is like for many people in the Middle East and parts of the country, other parts of the world. I don't think we really can fathom. Even the poorest among us can have a flat screen TV and get fed, It's in other countries, in parts of India, parts of the Middle East, it's people don't have a roof over their head, or they don't know where they're going to eat from day to day.
Or they're being persecuted. I have a lot of Persian friends that Iranians who are Christians who they fled, just like people fleeing communism. They had to leave, just like the Cubans leaving Cuba. And I mean, they got out with the clothes on their back and
risked their lives to leave as well.
Well, it's really odd because the Middle East used to have a very, very large Christian population. It's part of it's the Holy Land, right? But they've had a tough row to hoe. They've had.
The fact that Christians are being persecuted around the world, and as a Christian myself, I don't think Christians here in this country get it.
They don't get it.
They don't know what it's like to not be able to freely worship, not be able to freely discuss Christ, not to be able to teach or talk. These countries, these people are in hiding.
Yeah, but
And
you have to also remember it's been that way since the beginning of Christianity. I mean,
absolutely. But
look at the
Americans
apostles;
don't
they were
understand
all
it.
persecuted. So
This country was founded on Christian principles, and in this country, it was all about that freedom of your religion and to be able to worship your own way. Americans don't, I think, grasp how terrifying it is, because this isn't a race of people, being persecuted because of their race. This is based on their own ideology, and the fact that we can so easily wear a cross around our neck, or we can pray at a meal, or in this country we take it for granted what's happening around the world, where they can't even talk about their faith, or they can't worship. If they do worship, they're potentially going to be bombed, or they're going to be some
they'll be
gunman's
murdered.
going to come in
They'll
and
be
kill
murdered.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I pray for the
Beaten by a
Christians around
mob.
the world. And we are a peaceful religion, and that does make us, we are also a dominant religion, but it does make us easily targeted by other religions that do not agree with us, or by entities or governments that do not like our theology. And this is happening around the world, and we have to stand up to it. I am a Christian. I do believe that we could be in the final days just by what I'm seeing. But Christ was persecuted. His followers were persecuted. This is something that America was built upon, those principles. But just like freedom, you can't take it for granted. That's how people can sneak their way in and destroy whatever you have. We're seeing it happen in real time, and with immigration, and with problems that people are just being dumped into these societies. They don't acclimate to these societies, and they keep living the way they were living wherever they're from, or their ideology is the woman is a product, an object, it's property. And
I don't know if you know this, but Christianity is the largest religion in the world.
Yes, I do.
It
And
is the largest. But yes, we as Christians are persecuted, and in this country we so take it for granted. We
have a church on every corner, and we have, in Utah especially, there's a church in every neighborhood. There's even a lot of temples around here for that faith.
Well, look at the LDS religion. They're here because they were persecuted.
Yes.
They're here in Utah because they were persecuted. They should know.
They risked life and limb to go out to the West and to build their faith out in the West, when it wasn't developed, when it was terrifying to take those trails as pioneers. This is a real thing, and this is all based on a belief that really stems down to where we go when we die. You don't have to, you could live your whole life and not believe in anything, right? And then get a bad diagnosis from a doctor, and then really start thinking about where your soul's going to go and what's going on, and then change your mind. This is an idea that people can either accept or not accept, but it's up to you. The fact that people are killing you for accepting such idea or believing in Christ and he's your savior, like, that makes you less than human. This baffles me. And there were Christians being persecuted in Africa. And it wasn't just about race. It was about Christianity. And it is a way to strong arm a community and to make fear in everyone's heart. And when people are afraid, they're compliant. So I never take it for granted that we are very, very blessed to live in a country where you can believe in something or not, but it's here if you want it, right? It's just a really weird place the world is in right now. And
the world is always in a weird place, Holly. Come on.
Why does it feel so dangerous now? Is it because we're actually seeing it hour to hour if we want to?
No, because you weren't alive during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah. That's true. And neither was the 24-hour news cycle. And with technology has come information. And with the more information we get, I feel like the stupider we are. Because now we can't see what is real and what isn't anymore. with AI and all of that. And people are in a constant state of, I don't know, just
Anxiety. It's anxiety.
it's
It's
anxiety.
pressure. It's
Yeah,
stomach
it's fight
aches.
or
It's
flight.
headaches. Yes. Well,
It's like fight or flight all the time. Like, do I need to panic about this? Do I need to worry about this? And the media makes sure to get you in so afraid you don't know what to do with yourself.
yeah.
And it's all media,
Yeah.
which is why I love KMMU. The whole goal was to stop with that fear porn and to start with just talking and getting truth out and just go to the source and find out what's going on without making it about fear and pressure. I mean, that's why I want to talk to people on a podcast. I want to educate them on what's going on and who is exactly in the driver's seat of your life.
Well, you're doing all the right things, okay? And let me do a station break. You're listening to KMMU. The show is Political Head Trauma with Holly Crowley. Tell us you have a double name. What is it?
Holly Crowley Raybani.
There we go. I don't know which one to use. So, but
That's why
we're
Holly Crowley is what I was on the ballot, which I was going to be on the ballot. And a lot of people, that's a little easier. They see Raybani and they say it wrong, and I don't blame them. I think I'm the only Holly Raybani in the world because it's not a very popular last name in the United States, at least.
I'm the only Dwayne Benson spelled the way I spell it. Okay, so
Yeah, we were unique, right?
yeah, we're unique. Everybody is. So
I'm
so you
grateful for
can
your
listen to
help.
us. You can listen to us on Rumble and X, and we're on YouTube, and we've got like 2 years of shows in the can. One day a week, it was Holly and Jared. Now it's just Holly, but I think Jared will be back. He won't be able to resist.
I hope so.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening. Good show. I love your auditor. I love Tina Cannon. Tina Cannon's my hero.
I love her.
These people who
I'm
do
not
this.
She's amazing. And she's so tiny, so petite, but man, is she fierce. And I respect her so much.
She's got the right name.
Yeah.
Cannon. She's a cannon.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. Well, thank you, Mr. Producer. You got me through another evening, and I will remember my login, and I will do my best to see how we get Facebook.
We'll work on it. We'll get you going. No worries.
And I appreciate you, Jordan, for your comments, and let me know if that's something you're interested in as far as volunteering. Just let me know. And if you want to volunteer, reach out to me. You can do that by leaving a comment or go to our Facebook page. It's Political Head Trauma. This show is linked there. You can put a comment on that link if you want, if you usually see us on Facebook. And if you've left Facebook to come here to see us, leave your comment on Facebook and I'll make sure and answer it and get you in touch with the right people. And tomorrow night is convention for Tooele County GOP, and I'm very excited to be there as a delegate with my fellow delegates.
Well, everybody needs to be a delegate at least once. I was a delegate for 2 conventions, and someone in my precinct wanted the job, and I said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want that job? Okay, I'll be the chair. You can be the delegate."
Good for you.
Yeah, well,
so we'll see what they think after convention.
Yes, we'll see what they think after. Well, and I mean, it's a job. You have to go vet people. You have to engage with your fellow constituents. Okay, it's a job, and man, you get hammered with texts and emails, but you have to realize that is the job. You need to be talking to all of those candidates and telling your fellow constituents, your precinct members about it. That's what they're counting on you to do. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the greatest Republican form of government that I've ever seen. When I moved to Utah, I found out about it and I'm going, this is crazy. This is great. I can actually have an influence.
I agree. It's
in
so
California,
true.
In California, I was just a little tiny number in a great big, a little fish in a great big pond. Here, it's an important thing. I just love it. I love it. So, all right.
Well, I appreciate you,
You
and I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Join us next week at 6 p.m. here at Political Head Trauma, where if Head
You
Trauma
filled
had a podcast,
2 hours. Good
now it's
job.
something like this. Sorry, what?
All right. I said you filled up 2 hours. Good job.
Yes, sir. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks, Dwayne.